Well, this is fun to say. What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to the Shout Buffalo Bills podcast, live from Highmark Stadium, coming off the heels of the red and blue practice here and the unofficial start. Actually, the official start in a way, Ryan. I mean, I know it's still preseason and pre-season, but the farewell tour for Highmark Stadium, Rich Stadium, the Ralph, New Era, whatever you call it, started tonight. And Bills Mafia showed out. We are going to talk about that and everything that Ryan and I saw here tonight. Brent Axe filling in for Matt Perino, who's stuffing himself full of butter beers down there at Universal. Looking forward to Matt coming back here on the Shout podcast coming up this weekend. But happy birthday to Luke and a great family trip for the Perinos. I got my man Ryan Talbot here, and they did not take Amtrak down to Florida. But if you wanted a nice, comfortable ride anywhere, including in New York State, Amtrak's going to get you there, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Brent and I are crammed here in this press box. We had the stadium behind us, a lot of fans and players still out on the field. Didn't have the lighting quite right, but, you know, we're crammed in here. But you know where you're never crammed? Amtrak. Tons of space for your legs, no middle seats. You can relax. It's so much better than driving. You have free Wi-Fi. You can take a nap. You can watch TV, stream your favorite movie, you name it, and more. Amtrak has stops in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. You name it, you can take an Amtrak to your favorite destination today.
Absolutely. And if you took an Amtrak here to the stadium, what you saw was a lot of 17 jerseys, a lot of Bills fans out there tonight. And our Amtrak Hype Train Award, we're going to give out two here, Ryan. The first one is to you, Bills Mafia. 39,224 fans here tonight at Highmark for – I'm going to break out my Allen Iverson here. We're talking about practice. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a practice. But you guys are so hungry for Bills football. And Josh Allen did not disappoint, Ryan. We have the picture up on our thumbnail for this. I'm sure you've seen the pictures out there on social media. Of course, they put out the announcement about the red helmet coming back. But Josh Allen in that beautiful red 1990s era Buffalo Bills helmet. Tonight, the fans went wild on that. So Bills Mafia, shout out to you. You guys were amazing here tonight.
You know, the Bills make sure they don't sell out the stadium for these scrimmages. They limit the amount of tickets. Season ticket holders get the first opportunity. The next day it's open to the public. I don't know if there are any seats available in terms of what they sold. The Bills fans packed this lower bowl. You had people up in the upper seats as well. It was loud from the first player running onto the field to the end of practice. You guys showed up. You showed how much this team means to you in their final season here at Highmark. It was a wonderful representation of this fan base.
If I could turn the camera around, there's still fans here. We're about an hour after the blue and red practice ended here at Highmark. Fans still lining the walls, still some players out there, a lot of photos, a lot of pictures, a lot of autographs, and a lot of happy Bills fans. So shout out to Bills Mafia. You guys are ready. Now, in terms of a player, Ryan, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I'm sorry. Keon Coleman just continues to impress. Now, if this were a regular season game and it played out this way, Keon had a little bit of the dropsies early on here at Highmark, couple of the throw right in his grill that he just dropped early on. Another drop, but man, did he make some plays after that. The play of the night, Mike White, frozen rope on the sideline, right to Keon Coleman. And the key with that, Ryan, was that was a great one-on-one matchup that Keon Coleman continues to win here tonight against Christian Bedford. Yeah. He showed out.
Unbelievable performance. It's not how you start. It's how you finish in this league. And, you know, you mentioned it, two bad drops to start. One was a really good throw by Mitch Trubisky right off the hands, and it was one of those danger balls that bounces up in the air, and you think it's going to get picked off. Well, it fell harmlessly to the ground. No turnovers tonight for the defense. But Brent, he showed up right after that. He had the big play against Christian Bedford, a touchdown against Dane Jackson, and we'll talk more about that one in a minute, and a second big catch against Dane Jackson. What I loved about the first one, the one that didn't go for a touchdown, is he kind of played like a basketball player, which he is. You know, he boxed out. He got in front. He made sure that only he could get in front of that ball, and he hauled in a deep pass down the sideline for a big gain, a massive gain. And then the second one against Dane Jackson, once again, deep ball down the sideline, catches it while he's getting mauled once again by Dane Jackson. The official actually did throw a flag called defensive pass interference, but it was picked up because he caught the ball, broke away from the defender, and scored on the play. So he didn't start so hot. We were standing there like, well, maybe it's not the summer of Keon Coleman tonight, but lo and behold, he showed up once again and made 3 huge plays for this offense.
He's almost or more than halfway through camp. Preseason games are approaching. Keon Coleman, I think, would be the MVP of camp so far. He's certainly been the star of traction of camp so far. And Ryan, at this point, I think they're just telling Dane Jackson, go out there and mug Keon Coleman. He did it at practice yesterday. He does it again tonight. But that's the key. Keon's got to make those catches, those tough sideline catches when you're getting interfered with. Maybe the flag goes down. You still got to make the play. We know that Keon can get up and make those catches. Tonight, he made some tough catches and overcame the dropsies. Now, that's an issue. He's a second-year receiver, but if you're going to have that number 1 status, you can't be having that for Keon Coleman consistently, but he more than made up for it, and one of the more popular players here, certainly tonight at Highmark, as you can imagine. So he gets our Amtrak Hype Train Award. The hype has been real for Keon Coleman in this camp. Ryan, we like to bring people good news.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, we do.
We've been talking so much about this guy's out, and that guy's out, and this guy's out. So on yesterday's pod, when we were at St. John Fisher University, Ryan and I were telling you Josh Palmer started practice but did not finish it, was working with the trainers. He was still out there moving around, but we weren't sure if we were going to see him tonight. The 39,000 plus here at Highmark tonight not only saw Josh Palmer, they saw him on the field. They saw him on 7-on-7, 11-on-11, working out there, running the football, running with the football, running sprints, doing everything you would want to do. So we're bringing you good news for once. Josh Palmer, all is well there. He was out there tonight. And with that Bills receiver core, you needed everybody out there you could get. Josh Allen, though, kind of vet rest, sort of vet rest.
Short night at the office.
Short night at the office for sure. So he did the loop around the stadium again, playing catch with the fans. We had some video of that. Ryan's got a great photo up of Josh Allen in that beautiful red helmet. He did 7-on-7, but did not do 11-on-11. So that got a lot of work in for Mitchell Trubisky and Mike White. We'll get to that quarterback 2 competition coming up here, but good to see Josh Palmer out there because as we said yesterday, Ryan, that guy's got to get every rep in possible with no matter who the quarterback is. He's got to get acclimated with this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we didn't know what the status was. We didn't want to call it an injury. We just said he exited practice. We were very cautious about that. He was working with the trainer. Might have just been something very precautionary or preliminary. But he's out here full uniform tonight, moving, running at full speed, catching some passes throughout the practice. So really encouraging to see because the Bills signed him to a 3-year deal. They envision him having a big role in this offense going forward. So great to see Palmer back out there on the field. So
Josh Allen sort of got veterans rest tonight. Here are some players that weren't out there at all tonight. Trey White sat down. He was hamming it up for the Hard Knocks cameras. Trey White, a early leader in the clubhouse for somebody who's going to be a prominent feature on Hard Knocks. I would put Deion Dawkins in that category. I've got a dark horse for you in that category coming up here. Trey White out. Joey Bosa had vet rest tonight. He did not dress in this game. Good to see Spencer Brown off the PUP list. He didn't dress tonight, but he is healthy and ready to go. Max Hairston was here. He was on crutches. There was a funny moment on the sideline, Ryan, when one of the Keon Coleman plays came right at him, and he kind of had to back off a little bit. And him and Trey White were kind of laughing like, now, don't you be getting in the way of those plays, right? There's still some live football out there. But Hairston was here, and Matt Milano, another guy getting some vet rest out there for the Bills tonight. So to be expected, you give some of these guys the night off here, but this is the great in-between, Ryan, that if they're not on the field, at least they're out there. The fans could see them and interact with them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I posted a photo in the Insiders, too, of the 3 linebackers just kind of hanging out on the sideline. Matt Milano, vet rest. Terrell Bernard still working his way back. Dorian Williams, all just chatting it up, which allowed for Joe Andreessen to get some work. Balin Spector, Shaq Thompson working with that first team. At times as well, all of them kind of rotating, a ton of rotating on the defensive side of the ball tonight, which played a role here in this question that Mark asked us. How impressive did the D-line look as far as pressuring the quarterback and hampering the O-line? I think they were better against the run tonight than against the pass. There were a lot of run stops immediately up the gut on plays. There was one sack on a Mitch Trubisky ball that he completed in the end zone to Dalton Kincaid that they blew dead. Another pressure play after he fumbled that was blown dead. Not a ton of pressure off the edge tonight, but again, it wasn't like they had all of their players going in this rotation, missing Bosa for the practice, for the vet rest. but they did look pretty solid against the run tonight. So thank you, Mark, for the question. And once again, thank you to our other note here from Jake saying, "Go Bills." Thanks for all the hard work out there, guys. We appreciate you watching the show.
And Mark, I think it's a good question. A shout out to you guys for your great questions and comments tonight, because there is the Bills pass rush with Joey Bosa and there is the Bills pass rush without Joey Bosa. How does it look? I think everybody understands this is a guy, he's walking that thin line of injury. You need some depth. You need some pass rushers. It's the same thing with Von Miller the past couple of years. What you get out of him is what you got of him. But, man, if Joey Bosa can come in and make that impact, and you got a couple D linemen, of course, as we've talked about, that are going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the regular season, you got to find that pass rush. So you want to take it slow but sure with Joey Bosa and give him all the time he needs to acclimate out there. There was some I think we're going to see this on Hard Knocks too, Ryan. They've talked about how the defensive room's trying to get to know each other a little bit. He's a gentle giant, man. He's very quiet. He's not a guy that's booming in that room, but he leads by example, and a very large man who's hard to miss out there. So you want him on the field as much as possible, but didn't need him out here in this situation tonight.
No, absolutely not. Oh boy, Crazy K in the comments, no play. Are you all talking all day? Don't worry, we're getting into it. We're starting to talk about who made plays, who flashed. We talk about Keon Coleman's big day. We're going to get into the quarterback 2 competition here coming up, and some of the plays that each QB made. Even some good plays tonight by Shane Buechele. But if you want play-by-play, become a Shout Insider. I sent detailed notes on the 7-on-7 time, the 11-on-11. So the insiders had that hours ago. They know what happened. We'll get into it a little bit here tonight.
This man's fingers were smoking on that sideline down there, sending the play-by-play. Sign up to be a Buffalo Bills Shout Insider if you haven't already. And most of you that watch the podcast certainly do, but we'd love for you to join up here as the season ramps up. A couple more things, Ryan, before we talk about the quarterback competition and a couple other things we saw here tonight. Dawson Knox is making that slow but sure return on the field. He was in full uniform tonight. He was out there tonight. He's all but back. I don't know if I would put a 100% stamp on that, but he's about as close to it as could be. And when you see Dalton Kincaid making those plays out there tonight, you mentioned that Trubisky play that was blown dead. Even in the continuation, he made a nice throw. And Kincaid showed what he can do, making a great catch in the end zone, right on the line. We know the pressure that's on Dalton Kincaid. We know the expectations that are there for Dalton Kincaid to really step up as a primary pass-catching tight end target for Josh Allen. But to know you've got Knox to balance that out, in addition to Palmer and the additions to the passing game, good to see Dawson Knox back out there tonight, making a slow but sure return to the field. Quarterback 2.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'll take throws I don't want to see in the regular season for 500, Alex. Okay. And that was what we brought up. I don't want to see Mike White on the field ever in the regular season, as none of us do. Right. But man, he showed tonight that if he's got to step in at some point, and we'll be looking for this during the preseason games as well to see who truly takes the backup quarterback position. Ryan, I think they both made some great throws out there tonight, but I think Mike White looked better. There's still some throws that Trubisky floats to the sideline. I was having old visions of, I was there that day when E.J. Manuel floated that pass to the hospitality tent. That's in Bill's lore, for those of you that know and remember that. Trubisky still floats some throws to the sideline versus what we talked about earlier, that Mike White rope to Keon Coleman on the sideline. So still got a few weeks to go here. Still got some preseason games where it really matters to make that judgment. But I think Mike White took a slight lead in quarterback 2 tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, it started early. You had Mike White out there early on. He throws a great pass to Elijah Moore along the sidelines. Probably went for about a 30-yard gain. Moore did a lot of the work on that play. We talked about the rope that he threw to Keon Coleman for 30-plus yards. I like that he's fearless in the one-on-one situations. If he doesn't see a double team, if he doesn't see a safety creeping over, he's going to give his guys an opportunity to make plays on the ball. He did it with Keon Coleman tonight. He did it with Jalen Virgil at times, Elijah Moore. He plays the game the right way, in my opinion, for a backup, because when you come in, you can't just dink and dunk the ball and hope that you can just kind of hold on to a lead. You need to be able to make plays, and he's willing to do so. He's willing to make those reads downfield. They did some goal line work tonight. They did a play action pass out of the backfield or near the 3-yard line. I always want to say Spencer Hawes, because the basketball player. Hawes comes out wide open because they're expecting him to block, connects with him in the end zone, makes a great play there too. overall, Mike White definitely had the better night. Trubisky was not bad, nor was Shane Buechele. All three guys made plays, but I do feel like Mike White has been the better quarterback so far this summer.
I agree. And again, we don't want any of that to matter come starting September when Baltimore and Buffalo open up the regular season for both those teams on Sunday Night Football. But if you need to go to him, if there's a situation that he's called upon, Mike White takes a slight lead. But it's August 1st, and Mitchell Trubisky's been around. Trubisky's made some plays. This is going to be a competition to watch going forward here. Kind of a fun thing we saw tonight, Ryan, at the Blue and Red Scrimmage. You try different things. You practice scenarios in training camp. Ray Davis runs out. Now, I was standing on the sideline. I see Ray Davis come over, and he grabs this funny-looking shoe. I said, oh, that's different. And then all of a sudden, Ray Davis is running out on the field, kicking 28-yard field goals. Was 2 of 3 with 28-yard field goals. Not the prettiest in the world, but he split the uprights 2 out of 3 times. So, again, I'll take situations I don't want to see in the regular season for 1,000, Alex. With Tyler Bass, though, continuing to nurse his injury, he did simulate a kick out there tonight. He is around, so he's slowly but surely making his way back. But that was fun, seeing Ray Davis out there kicking field goals.
Yeah, that was really funny because, we're standing there, we're like, oh, they're simulating a kick. They're not even trying it. But then the next time that they get down there, they bring out Ray Davis of all players. And the first one was a little bit of a stinker, low line drive. It went wide left. And then they gave him 2 more shots. And by the third one, the third kick was pretty pure, high, right down the middle. No kicker controversy here at One Bills Drive. But good to know that if they ever needed an emergency kicker, maybe for those short field goals, you could count on Ray Davis, who had some nice runs tonight here as well. Shout out Chris here in the chat, the $20, just a Bills logo there with
let's go.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone watching for the support. Over 1,000 people watching us live here as we're sitting in a very dark room here, but luckily with that white background, you don't realize just how dark it is in here, but bring you everything that happened tonight at the return of the Blue and Red Scrimmage.
Yeah, we're burning daylight here in the press box. We couldn't figure out how to get the lights on, not going to lie, guys. So thanks to the stadium lights that are helping to shine the way here as we make our way through the Shout podcast here. And, man, Ryan, I said it, we're in August.
Yeah.
It's feeling like football. Being here tonight at Highmark, feeling like football. 39,000 fans at a practice. We're starting to get there. There was a preseason football game on last night, the Hall of Fame game. It's like, man, we're so close, yet so far away because we're still about a month away from the season beginning for real. But we're going to start to get some real questions to some answers, start to see some preseason games, start to see some scenarios play out. I don't want to say when it matters, but when it matters more than a training camp practice or a practice here tonight at the stadium. And we're going to see it all play out on Hard Knocks. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about Hard Knocks in the last show, and we know some of the guys that are going to shine on this show. Deion Dawkins, Trey White, Josh Allen's going to get a lot of the spotlight, right? Maybe he's not an underdog. Maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but just being on the sideline tonight and seeing how much this guy goofs around a little bit and kind of was poking Joey Bosa in the ribs, trying to get his attention down there. Watch for Reed Ferguson to be a Hard Knocks guy. I think this is somebody that the cameras are going to find and you're going to enjoy. Did you see the clip the other day, by the way? Josh Allen was talking about some kind of physics theorem or something. Like, he lost me. I failed math in high school. So when he started talking about that, I'm like, I'm out. I don't know. But, it's funny, the conversations that they're having in the huddles, and the boom mics are everywhere, Ryan. They're catching everything.
You're not kidding. They were everywhere tonight. We'd be standing in one spot, then a whole trio of cameras would be coming over and stepping near us, around us, in front of us, you name it. Really excited for Tuesday night show. Reed Ferguson's a great choice, a really good personality.
Do you have one?
I don't, off the top of my head, I do not. But I think it's going to be pretty fun just to watch, because there's always going to be that 1 or 2 surprise players that maybe we don't see that side of their personality, but they catch it here on Hard Knocks. So Ferguson's a great choice. He's very active on social media. He loves to cook. He's always grilling things, but I'm sure he has a lot more you can talk about just than that. So
I guess we got to go with the obvious one, Ryan. Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Right? It's the summer of Keon. He had another great game. He's got that unique personality. I mean, they're going to highlight, when he was drafted and he came in and he bought the yellow coat, and he is such a personality that fans attach themselves to. There is no shortage of storylines for this Hard Knocks crew, especially for that first episode on Tuesday and as the preseason goes along here. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to bringing you more coverage here throughout the month of August. Training camp, the dog days are starting to hit here, but Matt and Ryan are going to be all over it throughout training camp here. It was fun to hang with you guys for a couple of days. Thanks for putting up with me, Shout audience. It was great to pinch hit for Matt Perino here and talk some Bills football. I'm a lifelong Bills fan, and some of you, I feel like Troy McClure from The Simpsons. Some of you may remember me from the Buffalo Bills radio network in 2009 to 2011, but I've been around the Bills my whole life, and coming to something like this, Ryan, it reinvigorates you. It gets you ready for football, and to see the Bills Mafia out in force again tonight, it's like, okay, let's just get rid of August. Let's just hit that fast forward button. Let's get this September, and let's get this thing on. But it was fun to hang with you and cover some Bills football, and we hope that Matt had a great trip down there at Universal, and he'll be back on Sunday. So the Bills take the day off Saturday, and we'll be back at it on Sunday, and Ryan and Matt will be all over it for you.
Yeah, you did a great job, Brent. Can't say how much we appreciated you and how much I appreciated you these last two practices. You came out here, I wasn't even at the stadium today. Like, hey, here's a great shot of all the fans standing in line, waiting to get into the stadium, the new stadium in the background. Videos tonight of Harrison on the crutches coming out, you name it. You were going around getting great videos, great photos, providing great information to the insiders. So awesome stuff. I do see some people in the chat asking about Khalil Shakir. Did leave practice early tonight. Don't want to speculate on it. He was able to walk off under his own power. Might be a lower body, might be an ankle. The Bills already know what they have in Khalil Shakir. So it wouldn't surprise me if they let him kind of rest up here for the rest of training camp. But we don't know anything in terms of whether it's anything serious. It didn't look like it in terms of walking off under his own power. So we did see the comments. I didn't want to ignore it here in the chat. As soon as we know more about that, we will let you know. We have another comment here in our YouTube. Thank you for all the great content. Well, thank you guys. We really do appreciate. Yeah, next man up mentality. Next man.
There you go, baby.
Love it. Thank you, Adam. So with a lot of wide receivers out, and with Khalil Shakir leaving early, that kind of brings us to our next topic of guys who stepped up tonight and really impressed us, and both were wide receivers.
Wilkerson just keeps making plays, just keeps showing himself out there, and I don't know if he's going to knock on the door loud enough to be somebody that's on the 53-man when it's all said and done, but he is putting himself on film for other teams. He is showing out that he can make plays. And there was another receiver out there, and again, we don't know the severity of what's going on with Shakir, and it's good to see Josh Palmer back out there, but this is a deep receiver room in the sense that there's enough guys flashing and making plays at camp that can get this team through the next month before it all really gets going.
Yeah, that second wide receiver being Jalen Virgil. Jalen Virgil was interesting because the Bills signed him to their practice squad last year right after roster cuts. He was a player that the Denver Broncos really liked. They tried to add him to their practice squad, but he wanted to get an opportunity elsewhere. He thought maybe Buffalo was a better path for him, and to his credit, he got elevated a few times, was able to play on the roster during the regular season. He's been getting a lot of work on special teams this summer, and he's made some plays, but tonight especially, hauling in 3 or 4 balls throughout practice, big plays as well, not just little drop-offs. So getting open on the field, almost had another big catch that just went off his fingertips, was thrown a little too far for him on that play. So he stepped up, and yet Christian Wilkerson, I was talking with John Scott of Channel 2 News, and goes, oh, there's the next Desmond Lewis, that wide receivers, those wide receivers that Bills fans love that make some plays throughout the summer. He made a lot of plays at practice yesterday, getting run with the first team because of all the injuries. He made a lot of plays tonight. He's at least showing that he's sure-handed, that he's picking up this playbook very well for being someone that hasn't been on this roster very long. And the more you can do with that, the more you're going to be able to have a chance to at least crack this practice squad when roster cuts are done.
Well, Ryan, it was Elton John who said, don't let the sun go down on me. The sun is almost completely down here outside at Highmark Stadium. So Ryan and I are going to wrap it up here as though we're burning daylight. But Thanks to Bills Mafia, as always, for watching. Thanks for signing up to be a Shout Buffalo Bills insider. Ryan working those thumbs tonight and bringing you all the great action. And Matt and Ryan will continue to do that through training camp. I'll be watching. I'll be following as we see another month of Buffalo Bills training camp play out here and we get closer to real football. That was the feel tonight. We were in Highmark. It was a dress rehearsal of sorts to just kind of get this thing going here, and it felt like football, and the fans had a great time. All 39,224 of you, setting a record for the blue and red practice here. Shout out to Bills Mafia once again. Thanks for watching tonight. Thanks to Amtrak for presenting the Shout podcast as well. And don't let the sun go down on Highmark Stadium, but that sunset started tonight. This was the start of the last games in this stadium. And I'll tell you on a closing thought, Ryan, finally seeing new Highmark Stadium up close and personal. Wow. That is quite a structure. You can't help but think you're going to a big soccer match. It's got that look, the Tottenham model that they put it after. I think that is going to be one heck of an experience for Bills fans when we go across the street. But we're still going to play another season here at Highmark, and it all started tonight with the blue and red. For Ryan Talbot, I'm Brent Axe. Thanks for watching. Matt Perino will be back on Sunday here on the Shout Podcast. Bills fans, have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.